Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Greatness doesn't come from talent, luck, or comfort. It comes from being broken by failure, pain, and rejection, and choosing to rebuild stronger each time. Stoicism teaches that what seems like destruction is actually formation. Most people avoid breaking. They fear collapse because they confuse it with ending, but collapse is only the removal of what was weak. Breaking is how life tests the strength of your structure. The Stoic understands that what falls apart was never built on truth. Each fracture exposes where illusion held things together. In that exposure, a chance is given to rebuild without the lies, without the softness, without dependence. To be broken is not to lose yourself, but to begin discovering what cannot be destroyed. When the world strips away comfort, image, and certainty, what remains is the raw form of who you are. The pain that comes after breaking is not punishment, it is purification. It teaches what must stay and what must never return. Every Stoic knew this. Greatness is not the preservation of what you have, but the mastery of how you rebuild when everything is gone. The person who endures breaking without bitterness begins to understand real power, because once you have been shattered and still rise, you no longer fear anything that can fall. We will discuss 5 things that must be broken before you can rebuild and become a new, upgraded version of yourself. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Break emotional indulgence. Every person carries storms within. Anger, fear, anxiety, guilt, envy. Each has the power to seize command of the mind and drive it into chaos. The Stoic path begins by facing this inner turbulence and refusing to let it dictate action. Discipline under emotion is the first architecture of greatness. Without it, no principle holds. The person who cannot rule their reactions remains a servant to impulse. Emotion itself is not the enemy. It is information, raw, unfiltered, sometimes violent, but always revealing. The Stoic does not seek numbness, they seek governance. When emotion strikes, they pause. That pause is power. It transforms instinct into choice. The goal is not to feel less, but to respond better. Mastery begins with that gap between impulse and act. Breaking emotional indulgence means severing the habit of drowning in feeling. It is easy to collapse under rage or despair because indulgence feels alive, even righteous. But indulgence has no direction. It burns energy without creation. To the Stoic, every emotion must justify its use. Does it serve virtue? Does it strengthen will? If not, it is dismissed. This audit of feeling is the beginning of freedom. The process of breaking begins with awareness. Notice what triggers you, what words, what tones, what failures spark reaction. Write them down. Track them like an investigator. Emotion becomes manageable when seen clearly. What hides in shadow controls you. What is observed loses its grip. The Stoic studies themselves with precision. The next step is containment. When emotion rises, the rule is to delay expression. Count your breaths, loosen the body. Reclaim posture. The body often controls the mind more than the mind controls the body. A clenched jaw signals battle. A slow exhale signals control. This is not performance. It is biological strategy. The Stoic uses physiology as defense. Once containment is secured, interpretation begins. Ask, what does this emotion demand? Anger demands correction of injustice. Fear demands protection. Grief demands acceptance. The Stoic isolates the function, fulfills it rationally, and discards the residue. They do not act from emotion, but through it, transforming energy into direction. To break indulgence, one must reject identity built around feeling. Many say, I am an angry person, or I am anxious by nature. These are stories of surrender. The Stoic refuses self-labels that glorify weakness. They replace them with actions. I am practicing calm. I am training focus. I am learning endurance. This language reshapes the mind's allegiance. Rebirth begins when the mind learns to rebuild itself after collapse. When emotion tears through stability, the Stoic reconstructs from fragments. They begin small, one decision, one behavior, one act of control. The goal is not to restore what was lost, but to rise clearer. Pain becomes a blueprint. Every recovery teaches resilience. Breaking emotional indulgence also demands detachment from the desire for constant positivity. Many pursue happiness as if sadness were failure. The Stoic rejects that illusion. Life contains the full spectrum, and mastery means equilibrium, not elation. To stay even when fortune turns is the proof of stability. Emotional indulgence often hides behind self-expression. People justify venting as honesty, but Stoicism sees it as waste. Expression without purpose drains strength. Speak when it builds, remain silent when it doesn't. Discipline in speech is the extension of discipline in thought. The modern world encourages indulgence. It rewards outrage, celebrates reaction, monetizes attention. To be calm is to be unfashionable. Yet calm is the highest rebellion. The Stoic who remains composed in an age of hysteria holds invisible authority. Their restraint commands respect. Their steadiness stabilizes others. The practice of containment sharpens presence. The mind that no longer oscillates with every emotional shift becomes efficient. Decisions come cleaner. Work deepens. Relationships simplify. Energy once wasted on reaction fuels progress. Emotional mastery multiplies time. Every moment of anger or despair can become training. When insulted, test restraint. When anxious, test breath control. When disappointed, test gratitude. Each test reinforces neural discipline. The Stoic treats emotion as weight training for the soul. In relationships, breaking indulgence protects respect. Instead of meeting aggression with aggression, the Stoic anchors in stillness. This breaks the cycle of escalation. Power grows quietly in that restraint. The person ruled by emotion is predictable. The disciplined person is unreadable. That unpredictability is strategic advantage. Self-respect deepens when reaction ends. To act out of control creates shame. To remain centered creates pride. Each controlled response builds internal capital. Over time, the mind trusts itself. Confidence becomes not belief, but evidence. Breaking indulgence does not mean emotional poverty. It means abundance through order. When emotion is harnessed, it becomes drive, creativity, compassion. Controlled anger reforms injustice. Guided sorrow teaches empathy. Contained fear sharpens preparation. Every feeling has purpose once disciplined. To sustain mastery, ritualize reflection. Each night, review the day. What emotion governed you? What moment did you waste on reaction? What moment did you command? Record patterns. See improvement. Stoicism is not theory. It is measurable practice. The Stoic knows that the greatest danger is inner chaos. No enemy outside can harm more than a storm inside. When emotional indulgence ends, self-sabotage ends. The person becomes a fortress. Calm is armor. Clarity is weaponry. Physical training reinforces this discipline. Hard exercise teaches the body to endure discomfort without panic. This endurance transfers to emotional pain. When breath burns and muscles ache, the mind learns to stay functional under distress. Stoicism is lived through the body as much as the mind. Diet and rest influence emotion. Poor sleep shortens patience. Bad nutrition amplifies irritability. The Stoic protects these fundamentals as sacred. They understand that philosophy fails without physiology. Stability is built through chemistry as much as character. The modern Stoic uses tools wisely, journaling and breath training. These are not trends, they are instruments of control. The rule remains: tools must serve discipline, not dependency. Practice must not become identity. Breaking indulgence also means rejecting the culture of complaint. Constant venting corrodes resilience. The Stoic addresses issues through solution, not sympathy. They speak in terms of correction, not consolation. This cultivates self-reliance. The transformation from indulgence to mastery is visible. The face softens, the tone lowers, the breathing steadies, movement becomes deliberate. People sense composure before words are spoken. This quiet authority cannot be faked. The Stoic learns to measure progress by recovery speed. The goal is not never to fall, but to rise faster each time. Emotional indulgence clings to pain. Stoic discipline converts pain into propulsion. Each recovery tightens structure. Every collapse is a rehearsal for control. When a person loses temper, they have seen the crack. When they recover, they have sealed it stronger. Repetition makes the seal permanent. Over years, volatility disappears. Calm becomes baseline. The mind disciplined under emotion gains an uncommon advantage. It sees clearly while others are blinded by reaction. It negotiates better, leads better, teaches better. This calm does not mean passivity, it means precision. It strikes only when required. To remain composed under provocation is not weakness, it is command. Weakness screams, strength decides. The Stoic silence is not retreat, but assessment. Every second they do not react, they gather control. In time, this becomes instinct. Rebirth through emotion is achieved when pain no longer distorts perception. What once felt unbearable becomes useful. The person can now walk through chaos without losing posture. This is the Stoic ideal: serenity amid disorder. Greatness requires emotional architecture built through breaking. Each storm survived adds new reinforcement. The foundation becomes unshakable. When external events collapse, the internal framework holds. That endurance is greatness itself. The disciplined mind becomes a stabilizing force for others. Its calm diffuses panic. Its steadiness inspires trust. Leadership emerges naturally from self-mastery. People follow the one who cannot be rattled. To break indulgence is to become immune to manipulation. Media, peers, and critics lose influence. The Stoic reacts only to reason, not to noise. This independence is freedom. No external force can pull the strings of a still mind. Emotional mastery transforms adversity into initiation. Pain becomes a doorway to growth, not a barrier. The person learns to meet discomfort with curiosity, not fear. They see challenge as material for building strength. Each day brings opportunities to practice. Traffic delays, arguments, setbacks. The untrained see inconvenience. The Stoic sees rehearsal. Every irritation becomes a moment of sharpening. Breaking indulgence reaches its higher form through acceptance without collapse. When loss arrives, the Stoic grieves cleanly, without despair. They allow sorrow its space, but deny it the throne. In this steady posture, endurance matures into renewal, preparing the mind for the deeper layers of mastery yet to come. Emotional discipline does not emerge from theory. It is forged through repetition. Each emotional surge becomes a test of readiness. The Stoic trains the same way an athlete does, under resistance. When irritation arrives, they slow speech. When panic threatens, they slow breath. When offense tempts, they hold posture. Each act is a controlled rep in strengthening composure. To understand emotion, study its structure. It begins with perception, an external event interpreted by memory. Then comes judgment, the mind's labeling of that event as good or bad. Finally comes impulse, the body's call to act. The Stoic inserts reason at the judgment stage. They refuse to assign moral weight to the event itself. By altering interpretation, they intercept reaction before it becomes behavior. This interception defines mastery. A disciplined mind does not suppress feeling. It edits its narrative. When insulted, the untrained say, "I am disrespected." The Stoic says, "An opinion has been spoken." The first enslaves emotion. The second neutralizes it. Precision in language dissolves intensity. The trained Stoic practices micro-interventions. They rehearse responses for common triggers: traffic, criticism, delay, rejection. Each scenario becomes simulation. Preparation replaces surprise. The prepared mind cannot be hijacked by sudden emotion. Morning ritual frames the day's posture. Before entering the noise, the Stoic sets internal order through reflection and breath. 10 slow inhales anchor awareness. A short review of principles, control, virtue, endurance, reminds the mind of its duty. This conditioning preempts chaos. Throughout the day, attention is maintained through observation drills. The Stoic watches themselves as though watching another. They note tone, gesture, and breath. When agitation rises, they identify it by name. Naming breaks possession. It returns command to reason. Evening discipline seals progress. Review moments of reaction without judgment. Identify what provoked, how you answered, and what rule might prevent reoccurrence. The day's emotion becomes tomorrow's material for construction. Each review strengthens the architecture of restraint. Physical ritual reinforces emotional governance. The Stoic trains not only for strength, but for composure under fatigue. Controlled exertion teaches the nervous system that discomfort is survivable. Every heavy lift, cold immersion, or endurance set is a lesson in remaining operational while under pressure. Nutrition and recovery amplify command. Caffeine, alcohol, and sugar alter emotional baseline. The disciplined individual monitors their chemistry with the same precision they monitor thought. A calm mind cannot live in a chaotic body. Technology management is another frontier of emotional mastery. The Stoic disables non-essential alerts, avoids morning scrolls, and sets defined digital windows. The goal is sovereignty over attention. Uncontrolled input is emotional pollution. The clear mind controls its feed. Rebuilding after emotional collapse demands a plan. When breakdown occurs, retreat to fundamentals: breath control, movement, stillness, reflection. Do not negotiate with emotion, direct it. Command posture before philosophy. Once the body obeys, the mind follows. The Stoic maintains an internal code of phrases, anchors that interrupt indulgence. Examples: hold, stay clean, within control, return to task. These verbal cues collapse emotional spirals into singular focus. Simple language, consistent use, immediate reset. The goal is not suppression but translation. Anger becomes action toward improvement. Fear becomes data for preparation. Sorrow becomes appreciation. Each emotion is alchemy, the conversion of raw energy into disciplined output. Observe how emotion distorts time. Under distress, minutes feel eternal. Under pleasure, they vanish. The Stoic stabilizes perception by tracking breath cycles. 10 breaths mark 1 unit of calm. This anchors awareness to the present, where reason lives. Emotional indulgence thrives in fantasy. It feeds on stories of what should have been or what might happen. The Stoic rejects both illusions. They return to what is. Facts over imagination, action over speculation. The now becomes the only territory where power exists. Language hygiene supports emotional order. The disciplined avoid exaggeration. No, always. No, never. These words create absolute emotions. Replace them with precision. Sometimes, rarely, this instance. Control begins in vocabulary. Control also extends to posture. The way one stands influences the way one feels. Shoulders back, chest open, chin steady. These positions signal dominance to the nervous system. The Stoic uses body mechanics as armor. Weak posture invites chaos. Strong posture generates clarity. Sleep discipline is emotional discipline. Exhaustion amplifies reaction. The Stoic guards bedtime as strictly as meditation. They understand that rest is moral preparation. Without recovery, virtue deteriorates into irritation. Silence is another tool. In argument, the untrained rush to win. The Stoic waits. Silence shifts pressure. It exposes noise in the opponent and sharpens hearing in oneself. Measured words carry more force than impulsive speech. To master emotion, practice reframing adversity as exercise. When the meeting fails, when the deal falls, when the insult lands, recognize training. Life provides scenarios. Philosophy provides method. The Stoic thanks both. Study of ancient writings supports emotional recalibration. Marcus Aurelius wrote reminders to himself, not proclamations. Epictetus taught control through humility. Seneca wrote letters on composure under power. Reading their words daily recenters perspective. Their calm becomes contagious through repetition. Emotional control strengthens relationships. It transforms conversation from reaction to understanding. The Stoic listens with intent, speaks with restraint, and never argues to dominate. Influence replaces aggression. Respect replaces intimidation. In leadership, composure builds trust. Teams follow those who remain unshaken. In family, composure nurtures stability. Children and partners mirror calm. The Stoic becomes the axis around which chaos settles. When emotion overwhelms, step into physical order. Tidy the space, align the desk, clean the environment. External order restores internal symmetry. The smallest act of organization interrupts emotional drift. The disciplined mind measures progress through calm under repetition. The situation that once triggered fury becomes neutral. That neutrality is victory. It proves evolution without announcement. Detachment from praise is as vital as detachment from insult. Compliments can intoxicate as much as criticism wounds. The Stoic accepts both as noise. Their self-measurement rests on alignment with principle, not approval. Meditation sharpens observation. Sit without agenda. Watch the mind's movement. Label the emotions as they arise. This is not escape. It is reconnaissance. You learn the terrain of your own psychology, so it can no longer ambush you. Journaling follows meditation as the second instrument. Write objectively. What was felt? What triggered it? What was chosen? Avoid adjectives. Use verbs. Emotion becomes manageable when treated as data. Writing converts turbulence into structure. Gratitude rewires perception. Each morning, identify 3 stable things: breath, opportunity, will. This shifts attention from lack to possession. Emotional indulgence withers when gratitude feeds discipline. The Stoic uses environment as reinforcement. Place reminders, quotes, symbols, physical anchors, where attention drifts. Each visual cue recalls control. The mind, trained by repetition, returns automatically to composure. Control is not constant. It is recalibrated hourly. The disciplined reset often. Short pauses between tasks, a few breaths before entering a meeting, a stretch before responding. These moments act as checkpoints against indulgence. Beware the subtle indulgence of intellectual emotion, moral outrage, superiority, pride in restraint. Even calm can become vanity. The Stoic audits intent continually. Virtue loses purity when practiced for display. To endure without complaint is not silence born of fear, but silence born of strength. The Stoic endures loudly only in results. Their proof of mastery is the absence of volatility. True breaking occurs when the old reflexes no longer return. The mind reaches a threshold where reaction seems foreign. What once triggered collapse now triggers analysis. This is transformation, instinct replaced by discipline. In this refined state, emotion remains, but it bends to will. Like a river confined by strong banks, it flows with power yet within limits. The Stoic stands at the helm, steering current toward purpose. Each controlled wave confirms the victory of structure over storm. Chapter 2. Break the illusion of control. Control is the most persistent illusion. Every human seeks to command what cannot be possessed: the behavior of others, the outcomes of effort, the timing of events. The Stoic exposes this illusion early. To master life, one must separate what is truly within control from what is not. This distinction is the dividing line between peace and turmoil. The mind craves certainty. It believes that with enough planning and precision, it can secure outcomes. But life is a system of variables, not guarantees. The Stoic learns to shift focus from prediction to preparation. They do not seek to control the wind, they adjust the sail. This is the art of command without delusion. Breaking the illusion of control begins with identifying where energy is wasted. Worrying about reputation, guessing future success, resenting others' behavior. These are acts of false control. Each drains focus. The disciplined individual reclaims this energy by confining attention to effort, execution, and judgment. When the mind accepts that events are indifferent but responses are sovereign, calm replaces agitation. The person who demands a perfect world becomes restless. The one who demands perfect conduct from themselves becomes powerful. The Stoic sets standards for action, not for fate. The illusion of control hides in language. Phrases like should have and must happen expose resistance to reality. The Stoic replaces them with I will act and I will endure. Words shape posture. The disciplined person edits speech until it aligns with acceptance. Every external dependency is a potential chain. The Stoic audits attachments, wealth, position, approval, and measures how tightly each grips the mind. To hold without clinging is freedom. Ownership without obsession is strength. In work, control fixation destroys creativity. When outcomes dominate focus, innovation dies. The Stoic creates from duty, not demand. They care deeply for craft, but not for applause. They measure success by execution, not reception. This detachment from result refines mastery. Life's uncertainty becomes a teacher. When plans unravel, the Stoic asks, "What is this moment training?" Adversity ceases to be sabotage. It becomes curriculum. Each disruption reveals where rigidity hides. The mind that adapts thrives. The mind that resists suffers. Breaking control requires humility before nature. Storms, illness, loss, and time are not enemies. They are reminders of scale. The Stoic bows to these forces without submission. They acknowledge nature's rule, yet retain sovereignty over choice. Discipline of response forms the counterweight to surrender. Acceptance without action is passivity. Action without acceptance is panic. The Stoic moves through both, clear about what is theirs to command, tranquil about what is not. This union of serenity and motion defines Stoic strength. A practical exercise: divide paper into 2 columns. In the left, list every current problem. In the right, mark whether each is within control. Cross out all external concerns. What remains is your field of power. Direct every ounce of energy there. Repeat weekly until reaction becomes selection. In leadership, control illusion manifests as micromanagement. The Stoic leader builds systems, not surveillance. They delegate with clarity, trusting process over paranoia. True authority multiplies by empowerment, not domination. At home, illusion hides in relationships. The Stoic does not try to shape another's nature. They offer example, not enforcement. Influence born of integrity outlasts influence born of pressure. When others act poorly, the Stoic refines their own conduct. This inward redirection preserves peace. In health, illusion appears as fear of decline. The Stoic trains, eats and rests as duty, not insurance. They understand that the outcome, aging, injury, mortality, remains outside command. Their focus is on stewardship of the present body. Control means care, not permanence. Technology tempts the mind into false mastery. Notifications, metrics, analytics, they simulate control. The Stoic uses these tools but does not worship them. Data informs, it does not dictate. The moment numbers drive emotion, detachment is lost. To master response, the Stoic practices anticipatory thought. They visualize potential disruptions before they occur. This is not pessimism, it is rehearsal. When disruption arrives, the mind has already walked the path. The result is composure under surprise. Freedom emerges from narrow focus. The disciplined life is not smaller, it is sharper. By limiting concern to what can be shaped, the Stoic expands efficiency. Chaos outside loses leverage. Every minute spent resisting the uncontrollable is stolen from excellence. The illusion of control often disguises pride. People wish to believe they can bend outcomes because it flatters ego. The Stoic dismantles this pride through honest inventory. They remind themselves daily, I control my reason, not the world. This humility protects from arrogance and despair alike. The modern environment amplifies illusion. Instant communication gives the false sense that everything is reachable, yet connection is not control. The Stoic learns to use technology as extension, not identity. The phone becomes tool, not tether. When expectation collapses, the untrained curse fate. The Stoic recalibrates. They do not mourn the plan, they adjust the path. Adaptation becomes instinct. This makes them appear unshakable, but it is simply realism disciplined into reflex. Emotional detachment from outcomes strengthens consistency. Those driven by result oscillate between elation and despair. The Stoic remains steady, valuing process over applause. When fortune shifts, their standard remains identical. Do what is right, endure what is not. The illusion of control collapses most during loss. A loved one departs, wealth declines, or reputation fades. The Stoic does not fight the inevitable. They practice graceful endurance. Grief becomes proof of love, not rebellion against mortality. Acceptance turns suffering into reverence. Economic uncertainty tests the same principle. Markets turn, industries shift, plans dissolve. The disciplined individual protects what they can, skill, adaptability, ethics, and releases the rest. Worry does not stabilize markets. Discipline stabilizes character. Control illusion thrives on comparison. When attention fixates on others' progress, envy grows. The Stoic withdraws attention to their lane. They compete only with their prior self. Progress measured internally cannot be stolen. Stoic practice includes voluntary exposure to unpredictability, travel with minimal plan, train under varied conditions, learn new skills outside comfort. These exercises loosen attachment to predictability and harden resilience. To live without the illusion of control is to live without fear. The person who accepts uncertainty cannot be threatened by it. This creates an aura of serenity, mistaken for luck, but earned through discipline. Decision-making improves when control illusions die. The Stoic sees probabilities, not promises. They act with full commitment while expecting fluctuation. This mindset produces rational boldness, courage anchored in reality. Each morning, the Stoic affirms their domain: thoughts, choices, effort, nothing else. This affirmation replaces anxiety with precision. Throughout the day, whenever emotion rises over what lies outside command, they whisper the rule, "Not mine." To break illusion, one must practice letting go daily, refuse to dwell on delay, opinion, or fortune, redirect to craft, exercise, study, or service. The disciplined person becomes productive through surrender. Acceptance does not mean indifference. It means engagement without attachment. The Stoic fights hard while knowing the outcome belongs to chance. This paradox forms calm power, relentless effort, zero entitlement. The world respects those who remain unmoved by chaos. People seek guidance from those who act without panic. This is how mastery spreads, not through words but through posture under pressure. The illusion of control ends when gratitude replaces entitlement. Each event is seen as opportunity for virtue. If insulted, practice patience. If delayed, practice stillness. If defeated, practice persistence. Life ceases to be adversary and becomes instructor. Breaking control illusion reveals true scale. The self is a single part of nature's order. The Stoic aligns with that order instead of resisting it. This alignment produces inner harmony. To fight nature is madness. To cooperate with it is wisdom. Through this breaking, the person gains unshakable direction. They act cleanly, without friction from outcome. Their peace does not depend on success, and their failure cannot corrupt principle. This is command without delusion, the quiet force of the Stoic mind. Chapter 3. Break the comfort dependency. Comfort is the quiet killer of strength. It speaks softly, promising rest, ease, and security, but beneath that softness lies decay. The Stoic understands that every comfort unearned weakens resolve, every indulgence without purpose dulls discipline. Breaking the dependency on comfort is not an act of denial, it is an act of preservation. Strength cannot coexist with addiction to ease. Modern life worships comfort. Entire industries are built to remove friction from every task. Food arrives without effort, entertainment without thought, validation without merit. The mind adapts to this abundance by losing endurance. The body becomes fragile, the will becomes timid, and the soul forgets its purpose. The Stoic rejects this trend. They see comfort for what it is, a slow erosion of potential. Discomfort is the forge of identity. A person who voluntarily faces difficulty rewires their nature. They stop fleeing challenge and begin seeking it. Hardship becomes fuel, not threat.